Hey fellas, this is Finch. Welcome back to the Dota Clinic. Today is episode 7. This is part 2 of anxiety. This is the second half of our discussion on one of the probably the biggest topic most people have issues with when it comes to competitive games, competitive sports, competitive atmosphere in their life, whatever it may be. Anxiety plagues everybody, and I talked about in the previous episode that you can't avoid it, but rather you need to learn how to tolerate it and figure out where it's coming from and minimize it so you can deal with it and increase that performance. So if you haven't watched that part 1 video, please go back. You will see what I'm talking about and kind of why anxiety keeps us moving forward, the inverted U theory where we want to have a little bit of anxiety because that's our peak performance. All that kind of good stuff is in that episode. So today we're going to be talking about coping with anxiety, strategies on how to reduce the anxiety in the moment. And these are the things that you could be doing with yourself. You can be thinking about whenever you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, you're getting too anxious, you're getting nervous, whatever it may be. These are kind of the more practical bits. And so a lot of stuff today can be carried over into Dota, into other games, into life, whatever it may be. And I hope you guys enjoy. I guess a quick side note, if you were wondering why we took such a long break, a couple week break in between videos, go watch the video I just put out on the channel. It explains it. Short story short, I guess long story short, I moved, so you can notice I'm in a new spot. So we did that fun stuff of boxing everything, moving everything over, and still putting stuff away. So let's jump right back at it, and we'll get back on a usual track here. We'll get back to the weekly format. Today's quote is from Virginia Satir. She is a very famous experiential psychologist or therapist, I guess, if you want to get technical. Really interesting lady. But her quote is, "Problems are not the problem, coping is the problem." And this quote, simple, short, easy. This is the same idea I was talking about in the previous episode of we need to bring in the anxiety, we need to tolerate it, we need to embrace it, and then we need to learn how to just manage it. Because if you get in the mindset of, I'm going to avoid anxiety, I'm not going to feel anxious, you're already lost the battle because that's not going to happen. That's not the way humans work. So with this quote, what she's saying here is you just need to learn how to deal with it. And so that's the whole idea of today, is just learning how to deal with it. And hopefully a lot of these tips are just super easy, practical things that people can deal with. And hopefully it increases their functioning and make them feel more comfortable. And so I put a little previously on the Dota Clinic thing right here. Like I said, embrace anxiety. You're not going to avoid it. Everybody deals with it. Just learn how to use it to your advantage. Don't get paralyzed by too much anxiety and get overwhelmed and then shut down. You don't want that to happen. Identifying areas. That was the last topic we hit on in the previous video. So same thing. If you need to go back to watch that, please do that, because once you identify the areas that are causing you anxiety, it's a lot easier to treat and figure out where it's coming from. So I put a little example. So say, the common one people always have, I don't really know why, is always ladder anxiety. It kind of came from the StarCraft community, comes over here for ranked matchmaking. People feel that by queuing up for a ranked match, as opposed to a normal match, it is completely different. It's the same game, but just that addition of a number causes them to just shut down and feel overwhelmed and start worrying way too much of what's going on. And so if you are a person that, you have a hard time clicking that find match button, but then once you're in the game, you're totally cool, you're collected, you have a good time, you have fun, but then when you get back out, hitting that button again is really difficult for you. So that's easy. You identify that area that's causing you that issue, and then you can begin to react accordingly. And so figure out, maybe you're having a hard time hitting that button because you're worrying way too much about that number and what other people are perceiving of you. So then you need to worry about treating those symptoms. Maybe you have a hard time, just diving in. You're thinking too much of all the possible catastrophes and things that could go wrong. So then you need to treat that. So just try to identify what's causing you the anxiety. And then once you know that, it's easy to kind of reduce it and sit with it and, process it and figure it out. I guess the first half today is going to be just taking care of yourself. This stuff is stuff that is super, super obvious. Like, everybody should be doing this just day to day. It's just stuff that you should be doing, but you know what? A lot of people don't do it. So I stuck it in here. Then the second half is going to be actual strategies that you can use to kind of lower your heart rate, your blood pressure, whatever it may be, and kind of calm yourself down. And so the first one, exercise. It seems dumb, it seems silly. A lot of people go, I don't need to exercise. Exercise is really good for you. It keeps your blood flowing. Keeps you feeling good. If you wanted to look at some research, there's tons of research out there that says exercise is good for you. The one misconception that people have with exercise is they feel that in order to get good exercise, you have to go to the gym and lift and, do all this kind of stuff. You don't really need to do that. You need to just find out what works for you. So maybe it's running a mile in the morning. So wake up, run a mile. It's like take you 5-10 minutes to do that. It's not that big of a deal. Maybe you have a hard time running, so you just go walk. Just anything to get your blood flowing. A lot of people like to do yoga. People like to do Pilates. Whatever it may be, dance classes. I don't care what it is, but anything that gets your blood flowing and gets you breathing heavily and starts working on just getting your muscles going and your brain going, all that kind of good stuff, it really, really helps. You'll notice that your stress kind of drops a lot. So you don't need to go to the gym for 3 hours every day and stand there in front of the mirror lifting weights, looking at yourself. You don't need to do that. Just find something that is an easy routine. Everybody's busy, but maybe 2-3 days a week, and just get something that's easy and just get in the cycle and continue going over and over. And it's not a big deal, but once you start doing it, you'll feel better, and that's the key. Next one is eat healthy. Same thing as exercising. If you eat crummy food, you're going to feel crummy. That's pretty basic. I don't see a lot of people, go out and just gorge themselves with food, and then they go, I wonder why I don't feel very good today. So eat healthy, you'll feel better. Now, same thing. I'm not saying go to the extreme and just be, don't go be a vegan because it'll make you a better Dota player. It won't. But if you don't eat 3 cheeseburgers, you might not feel as shitty, especially for Dota where you're sitting at your computer, you're not getting any physical activity. You don't really need to go have a whole bunch of protein, a whole bunch of food to load up because you're going to go burn it off. You're not going to burn it off. You're just going to sit there and just going to sit in your stomach. So eat things that are healthy, maybe things that are sustaining, all that kind of good stuff. And I guess that's one thing to note for all of these is I'm not going to claim to be an expert in nutrition or an expert in personal training, whatever it may be. I like to stick with what I know and what I'm confident in. Those are areas that I feel competent, but I'm not an expert in it. So if you are interested on kind of how you can improve your diet or your exercise, there's tons of good resources out there. Just do a Google search and just check it out. And you'll be able to find a whole lot of people who are willing to give you good advice, who are in that field, work in that field, and all that kind of good stuff. Next one, don't binge. Just after a few games of Dota, take a break. You play 2 games, take a 10-minute break, go walk outside, go take the trash out, walk around the block, go get a drink, whatever it may be. Don't get in that habit of I'm going to play Dota, and then I'm going to play another game of Dota, and then another game of Dota, and then another game of Dota, and another game of Dota. Before you know it, you've played 6 games of Dota. It's 6 hours throughout the day, and you just sat. That's it. So you start feeling crummy. You start feeling like your body, your muscles are tight. You're not feeling good. You're going to start playing bad. And then when you play bad, people get a mindset of, okay, I got to play till I win. And then you play again, you lose. You play again, you lose. You play again, you lose. And you get in this bad cycle. So don't do that. Just take a little break here or there. Even if you're with buddies, just say, hey, give me 5 minutes. And just take a step back, take a deep breath, go get something to eat, come back. You'll feel much better and you'll have a lot more success. Next one is probably one of the more important ones, and that's going to be don't catastrophize. Don't catastrophize. Catastrophize. There we go. So that difficult word to say. Don't think that losing a game of Dota is the end of the world. This is something that happens to a lot of people in life. So if you lose a game of Dota, you're still alive. You're not dying. Your wife didn't leave you. Your girlfriend didn't leave you. Whatever it may be, it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. You don't care. It doesn't matter. Another funny thing that always cracks me up when people get very upset and anxious and all that kind of good stuff is just asking them, do you think in 7 days you're going to care about this at all? And usually the answer is going to be no. It's not that big of a deal. If it's something like losing your job, yeah, it's a big deal. But losing a game of Dota, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. And the same thing like within the game. So say someone on your team dies, don't just freak out and say, oh, we lose now. We lost because this guy died. Like you're jumping to conclusions. You're making things seem worse than they actually are. And just try to minimize it. Tell yourself, hey, it's not a big deal. We can come back from it. If it snowballs, then yeah, it's a different thing because then maybe that did cause you to lose. But that one instance was not the only thing that caused you to lose and caused you to get upset. So don't think in that mindset of like just everything is a huge major deal and if it goes wrong, you're completely in trouble. It's not like that. Next one up is be positive. Just super simple. Look at every game you play, every situation you have in your life, and just find a little bit that you can learn from. You might lose the game, but go, hey, I learned a really good item build for this hero. Or I lost this game, but I noticed a guy in the enemy team did this interesting skill build that I'm going to give a shot next game. Or go watch the replay from it and learn from it. Just be positive and try to find the 1 ounce of positive in the sea of negativeness, because once you start pointing out negatives, it's a snowball effect. You find 1 negative, it leads to 2, it leads to 7, it leads to 50, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. So yes, those negatives exist, but don't worry about them. Don't catastrophize and freak out about them. Just say, hey, you know what, those negatives suck. I'm going to just drop them over here. We'll take the positives. I got these 2 positive things. We're going to take those. I feel good about myself. Maybe next time I'll have better luck. I'll go get them. Last one is kind of in the same vein. Just be confident. If you go into a game, play a hero you're confident with, feel confident about yourself, because you're less likely to crash and burn and feel these negative effects and feel that anxiety overcoming and just crushing your soul, I guess is one way to say it. So just stay confident with yourself. And if a lot of people say, I don't have confidence. Confidence is not something you have or don't have. It's something you gain over time. So if you don't feel like you're confident in playing a certain role, then don't play ranked games. Go practice that role. Same thing with like work or school. If you don't feel confident at your job, then you need to go back and get the training manual or whatever, and you need to work and practice and get better at it, because there's people that rely on you to feel confident and feel good about your ability. Same thing with school. If you don't feel confident in a class, you study more. In Dota, if you don't feel confident playing support, then practice playing supports, get to a confident level, and feel that when you pick that hero and you jump into the game, that you'll have an impact on the game, a positive impact, and you'll feel good about your teammates and all that kind of good stuff. Confidence goes a long way, because if you feel that you're very insecure about yourself and your hero, and you go, okay, I'm not very good with this one, but I'm gonna kind of cover it up. So usually what that happens is you try to cover it up by blaming somebody else. So if you're not a very good support, you're going to yell at your carry. You're going to say, it's his fault because he didn't do a very good job last hitting. I hung out by him. Like, well, no, you were playing support, and you didn't really zone anybody out of lane. You didn't really ward. You didn't really stack and pull. You didn't really do anything. You just kind of sat next to your carry. It's a lot easier to blame somebody than it is to look at yourself and go, oh, I can improve next time. So if you feel confident about yourself, you're more likely to kind of go talk to that carry and say, hey, buddy, I'm going to give you this much space. You go get him. I know you got this. Like, that kind of positivity and confidence is contagious, and it spreads amongst your teammates. As soon as you start being negative, you start feeling down about yourself, it's all downhill. It just crashes and burns from there. So those are like just some basic, super easy tenets on just lifestyle choices. Things that are super simple that everybody can do. Now, ways to reduce anxiety. These are techniques, these are strategies, whatever you want to call them. They're simple little tasks that you can take that will make you less anxious. And they're super easy. And if you look around on the internet, they're out there. They're one of those things that a lot of people don't notice because they go, nah, I don't need that kind of stuff. It's not a big deal. But it's good to have in your back pocket, because you'll never know when you get into an anxious situation. There's times, you might be watching this thinking, this is silly. I'm never going to use this in Dota. But then you might go to a job interview this afternoon, and you might be sitting there feeling super anxious. You're stuttering, you're sweating, you're freaking out. And these strategies help kind of tolerate that anxiety and bring you back down to a normal level, to where you can begin thinking, you begin just talking better, whatever it may be. These strategies really help. So the first one, easiest one, deep breathing. You just take a deep breath in, deep breath out. That's it. That's all you have to do. You can do that. You can get tricky. There's different ways you can do it. Some people like to go breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, whatever that may be. There's also people that talk about extending your stomach. So you're going to breathe in and extend your stomach and your like this area, and whatever the technical term is, diaphragm, I think. You want to expand, and then feel the air in your body, and then when you exhale, feel it go back in. So kind of your diaphragm area, I think, is the technical term. You want to be feeling the air go in and out, and you're going to focus on the breathing. You're not going to be focusing on your heart rate. You're not going to be focusing on the thing that's stressing you out. You're going to be breathing in, and you're going to be breathing out. And if it helps you to count, you can count to down from 10. So you can start at 10. You can breathe in, deep breath, out, let it go, 10. Deep breath in, Let it go out, 9. And you want to slow it down. So you want to be focusing on the breath that's going in your lungs, and you're going to be focusing on lowering your heart rate and just calming your body and then letting go. So you want to do deep breathing, not just like, all right, I did 3, I'm good now. My anxiety's gone. No, just go. That's it. It's done. Do that over and over again for a decent amount of time. Your anxiety lowers. Next one up is going to be visualize. This is really popular in sports. It works in Dota. It works in other places. So visualizing is just closing your eyes. You can even do this when you're deep breathing. Deep breathing is just a staple. You can do that over and over again. So you can visualize. Think about what you're trying to accomplish. Think about the steps that you're taking to get there and what it looks like with you doing it. So say, you're playing baseball and you're visualizing. You're a pitcher. You're closing your eyes. You're visualizing. You're doing your deep breathing. You're thinking, okay, when I throw this fastball, I'm going to hit the outer half of the plate, or I'm going to throw this curveball and I'm going to start it at his knees and I'm going to bury it in the dirt. Whatever it may be, you're going to be closing your eyes. You're going to be visualizing where it's going, how you're getting there. You're going to be thinking about your body, your posture. You're going to, whatever it may be, you're seeing the situation before it happens. So when the situation happens, you feel more comfortable in it, and you feel like you've seen it before, you've done it before. It makes you feel more confident. So I guess a Dota example for this would be thinking about, maybe you're playing mid and you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to make sure that when it gets close to the 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minute mark, I'm going to push that lane up a little bit. I'm going to last hit and I'm going to auto attack and get them pushed up so I can get the early break to that rune. So you're going to be visualizing yourself, if that's your role, making a break to that rune, beating the guy there, whatever it may be. It sounds silly, and I'm going to be the first one to tell you, it sounds super silly, it's super dumb, but it works because it gets you out of that like freak out moment of like, I'm going to lose, things are going to go bad. Like, you're going to calm down, you're going to visualize, and you're going to deal with it. Next one up is going to be self-talk. So this is just super simple. It's what it is. It's talking to yourself. So, the anxiety will pass. The situation is not a big deal. Whatever it may be that you can tell yourself to help you calm down, you can do that in this situation. So say, same thing, you're middle and you're freaking out because you're having a hard time last hitting. You just tell yourself, okay, calm down. You got this. You've practiced it before. You've done this a million times. You got this. Don't worry about it. This guy might be better than you. He might be a famous player, and you're nervous. Whatever it may be, just talk to yourself. Just tell yourself you got it. And people do this all the time in sports. You'll see pitchers out there on the mound talking to themselves, saying how they're going to strike this guy out, and whatever it may be. Same thing with hitters. They're talking to themselves, and all sorts of stuff. You see players and athletes talking to themselves because it kind of is a way to kind of motivate yourself, pump you up, keep you focused. Self-talk is just easy. It's easy. Next one's muscle relaxation. This one's a little bit more advanced than the deep breathing, but it's in the same vein. And so with this one, you're going to be tightening a muscle. You're going to be squeezing the muscle really, really tight. You're going to be doing your deep breathing while you're doing this, and you're going to hold it for 10 seconds, and then you're going to let it go, and then you're going to exhale when you let go. So one thing you can do is you kind of start, if you feel like you need this for your whole body, so you can start with like your feet, work your way up, go through your calves, through your thighs, into your chest, into your arms, hands, whatever it may be, neck. You're going to work your way up with these muscles, and it's super easy. So say you're going to do it with your hands. You're going to squeeze your hands really, really tight. You're going to be breathing in 10 seconds, whenever that is, and then you're going to go, when you release it, you're going to be exhaling, and then your hands are out. You exhale, and you let your hands go, and the goal is that you have that muscle tension, and then when you release it, you release the tension, and it works. Try it. You try your hands, because you use your hands a lot for playing Dota. You can do that with your hands, do it with your feet, whatever it may be, but you're going to be progressively going through different muscles of your body, and you want to be focusing on that muscle group. You don't want to just squeeze your whole body and just sit here and freak out. It's not going to work. You need to focus down. So if it's, you're going to work on your ankles or something like that, tighten them up, hold them, and then when you exhale, let go. Do your hands, do your forearms, whatever it may be. You just want to slowly progress through different muscles that you're feeling, that are tight and that you need to loosen them up. And it's going to really, really, really help you kind of calm down and just get focused, get back to what you're doing. So this is something that you could do maybe before the game. So if you're a person that knows when you hit find match, you get super nervous. So maybe when you hit find match, work on just squeezing muscles, holding them for 10 seconds, deep breathing. Upon exhale, let go of the muscles slowly, and just kind of getting them feeling that they're loose, just getting rid of that tightness. And that's something you can really, if you have a minute or 2 minutes while you're waiting for the cue to pop, you could easily do this, and it really, really helps. So give it a shot and see how it goes. Last one is a little technique that kind of helps you stay out of the emotional mindset. A lot of times, this probably goes beyond Dota, but if you're in a very emotional situation, your brain will, your amygdala will kick in. You'll start getting all of that, adrenaline comes in. You get the flight or fight response type stuff going on. You'll start freaking out. You'll start reacting emotionally. You'll make decisions that are emotionally based. They're not, logically based. You're not using your frontal lobe and thinking things out. That's just what happens with your body. So what you need to do is you need to find a way to keep yourself focused, centered, using your frontal lobe, using that executive functioning, and not making emotional decisions. People know this all the time. So you're in emotional. I guess we'll use Dota. Dota's an example because this is supposed to be a show about Dota. You're in a game. You're playing with a friend who you've been friends with for a very long time. You're both on Skype together. You're chatting, and he keeps dying, and you get super frustrated. But you're playing really well, and he's playing really bad. And then all of a sudden, something happens where he gets you killed, and you just freak out on him. You start yelling at him, telling him he's bad, and all this kind of good stuff, right? Well, after the game, you're probably going to go, you know what? I was kind of a douche. That was my friend, and I freaked out on him, and I said some things. And you're going to tell him, hey, man, I'm sorry. I just got caught up in the event. So in that type of event is when you need to implement strategies to calm yourself down, think logically, think, you know what? This is my friend. Yes, it sucks that he's not playing Dota that great, but in the grand scheme of things, Dota's not that important, so I probably shouldn't freak out on my friend. So you're going to be doing something that keeps you logical, and one simple way to do this is just repeating simple math problems in your head. Something like 2 plus 2 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6, 1 plus 1 is 2. And you're just saying that in your head over and over while these emotional situations are happening, or when you feel them coming on, because then that mindset is going to keep you focused on something simple. Your mind's not going to wander. You're not going to start going, this is the worst, this is oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening, and then you just blow up. You're going to be focusing on minimizing the situation. You're going to be saying these over and over in your head. You're going to be dealing with it. You'll be doing your deep breathing, whatever it may be, and you're going to be able to get through it without freaking out. You're going to feel more comfortable and confident in your ability to kind of bite your tongue and get better from the situation. So that is that for today's episode. That is some lifestyle choices that should help you. This is some strategies that can help you. And a lot of these things carry over into games, into life, jobs, school, relationships, whatever it may be. They all are things that are very, very easy. And that's the one thing that kind of drives me crazy about this sort of stuff is these things are very basic. None of these strategies are things that people haven't heard of before. You've probably heard of all of them many times in your life. But the idea of implementing them, a lot of people think either A, I don't need that, so they don't do it, or B, that doesn't make sense to me, it doesn't work, or something like that. They're just things that people toss aside, but they're really valuable, and they help a lot of people. A lot of people struggle with anxiety and all this sort of stuff and implement these things in their day-to-day life, and people don't notice it because they've kind of mastered on how to bring their anxiety down and deal with their life situations and all that kind of good stuff. But it's like they're tools, they're here, they're free, they're simple. Why would you not use them? I just don't get why people always tend to toss them aside and think they don't work. Practice them, use them in your repertoire, just be able to pull them out whenever you need to pull them out, because like it or not, you're going to face an anxious situation probably within the next day or two. That's just the reality of life. You go through very anxious situations, and so rather than try to avoid the anxiety and the anxious situations where you get nervous and you get stressed out and all that kind of good stuff, instead of avoiding those feelings, just understand that they're going to happen. Make yourself a better person, learn from it, but then use things like this to keep you on your game. If you have a really hard time, say at a job interview, before the job interview, you're the best talker, you're the most confident, you're great. You get to the interview, you get so much social anxiety, you freak out, you can't talk, you're sweating, you leave. You just don't even go to the interview. It doesn't matter how good you were before the interview, but you failed during the time when you needed to succeed. So that was that inverted U curve where you went over the top and you just froze and you shut down. You want to implement strategies like this and keep yourself right in the optimal level at the top of that peak where you have a little bit of anxiety, but not overwhelmed, not underwhelmed, but just in the right spot to where you can excel at what you're trying to do. And on that note, let's end this episode. Thank you guys for watching the Dota Clinic. This was episode 7. We'll be back next week with episode 8. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can find me over at twitter.com/indiefinch. That's INDIEFINCH. And as usual, if you have any comments, feedback, questions, all that kind of good stuff, feel free to reach out to me. I know a couple people had some things they were struggling with, and they sent me a message and said, hey, I'm dealing with this right now. What do you think I should do? I'm always around if you have something like that, or there's something that's causing you anxiety and you want to just figure out how you tackle it, reach out to me. I'll talk to you. That's the reason I'm doing these videos, is I want to, inspire that open communication and bring to light a lot of issues that people just shoved aside mostly. So hopefully this stuff helps you guys out, and hopefully you can use these strategies in your life. Until then, please like the channel, follow the video, or follow the channel, like the video, whatever it may be. All that kind of stuff helps, and we can keep these videos flowing. And until next time, signing off. You guys enjoy the rest of the week. Hopefully an anxiety-reduced week.
Some of you cats might also know me as anemic, and I'm about to go in on this thing we call Dota.
The battle begins.
Let's go. I'm the man in Dota 2. We can take it to the scrimmage.